All right, so today we're diving into something pretty interesting. It's the world of fast food and coffee empires,
Yeah.
and the man at the helm of it all, Brian Niccol.
Right.
Now, you probably know him as the CEO who took Chipotle from, well, a bit of a dip
Yeah,
to an astronomical rise.
absolutely.
We're talking an eightfold increase in their stock price.
It's pretty remarkable, isn't it? And I think what's really caught everyone's attention is his move to Starbucks.
Yeah.
I mean, the stock reaction to his appointment was incredibly positive. It's a sign that people believe that he can replicate that Chipotle magic.
8 times the stock price. That's not magic. That's brewing something legendary.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the recipe behind this success? Can he really, I mean, from what you've gathered, can he really whip up the same magic as Starbucks?
That is the million-dollar question that everyone's asking. A significant part of his strategy at Chipotle, which he called Project Square One, revolved around hygiene factors, right?
Okay.
So think of it like this. You can't build a skyscraper on shaky ground.
Right.
You need a strong foundation.
Okay. You've got me. I'm hooked. Project Square One, hygiene factors. Tell me more.
All right.
What was he cleaning up at Chipotle?
So it's not just about cleanliness in the literal sense, although food safety was definitely part of the equation after Chipotle's struggles.
Right.
Imagine this. You're working in a fast food restaurant, the environment is chaotic, the pay isn't great, and your schedule's always changing. Would you be motivated to go above and beyond?
Probably not.
Yeah.
I'd be more likely to drop a burrito in frustration.
Exactly. And that's where this theory called Hertzberg's two-factor theory comes into play.
Okay.
Niccol seems to be a subscriber to this theory, which states that certain factors, those hygiene factors, are critical to employee satisfaction, or rather, the lack of them leads to dissatisfaction.
Right.
So these would include things like fair wages, consistent schedules, a safe working environment, and opportunities for training and development.
So Project Square One was all about getting those essential elements right, that foundation, as you've called it, before even thinking about fancy latte art.
Precisely.
Or in Chipotle's case, maybe perfecting their guacamole recipe.
Exactly. He understood that in the fast food industry, which is notorious for high turnover rates, that addressing these hygiene factors was essential to retaining employees and creating a more stable and productive work environment.
Makes you wonder why more companies haven't adopted this back-to-basics approach. Was there anything particularly unique about how Niccol implemented Project Square One?
Absolutely. One notable initiative was his focus on streamlining operations, especially during peak times.
Yeah.
Anyone who's worked in fast food knows how crazy those rush hours can get.
Oh, yeah.
He implemented strategies to optimize workflows, which not only improved efficiency, but it also just reduced stress for employees.
Smart move.
Yeah.
Less chaos in the kitchen, happier employees, better burritos. So it sounds like Niccol was laying some serious groundwork at Chipotle. But did it actually work? Were employees suddenly, like, throwing confetti and celebrating their love for burritos?
Well, that's where things get a bit more nuanced, and we'll unpack that in a bit.
Nuanced, you say. Okay, well, I live for those unexpected turns. So what's the catch with this whole hygiene factors approach? It sounds like a slam dunk so far. Happier employees, smoother operations, maybe even tastier burritos.
Yeah, it's a great foundation, absolutely. And Niccol deserves credit for tackling those fundamental issues head on.
Yeah.
But, and I think this is really interesting, while we see external sources singing his praises and, turning Chipotle around,
Right.
a peek behind the curtain at internal reviews reveals a slightly different picture.
Oh, okay.
It's a bit of a mixed bag of beans, to borrow a phrase from the coffee world.
I knew there had to be at least a few wilted lettuce leaves in this success story.
Right.
All right, spill the coffee beans. What were people actually saying about working at Chipotle under Niccol's leadership?
So on one hand, employees consistently praise the very things that Niccol focused on.
Okay.
Those hygiene factors. They appreciated the better pay, the more predictable schedules, the emphasis on training, and of course, the free food was a huge plus.
Yeah, free burritos. I can imagine that would sweeten the deal even if things weren't perfect.
Exactly. But and you knew there was a but coming.
Yeah.
While those positive hygiene factors addressed a lot of the dissatisfaction employees might have felt, they didn't necessarily translate to overwhelming passion
Right.
or a deep sense of engagement with the company.
So it's kind of like, hey, this job's all right. The pay's decent. My schedule's consistent. And hey, free burritos.
Right.
But it's not like a waking up every morning feeling super inspired to go build the perfect burrito bowl.
You've hit the nail on the head. And this is where that second part of Hertzberg's theory comes in. the motivators.
Hmm.
These are the elements that go beyond simply preventing dissatisfaction.
Okay.
They're about creating true engagement,
Right.
a sense of purpose,
Yeah.
and even excitement about coming to work.
Okay, so we're talking about more than just basics here. What are some examples of these motivators?
Think. Opportunities for advancement, recognition for a job well done, having a voice in decision-making, feeling like your contributions truly matter to the company's success. These are the elements that tap into an employee's intrinsic motivation, the desire to learn, grow, and be a part of something meaningful.
That makes a lot of sense. But can a focus on efficiency and streamlined operations, which seem to be Niccol's bread and butter at Chipotle,
All right.
really coexist with this idea of fostering creativity and individual growth?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it becomes even more crucial as we shift our focus to Starbucks.
Right, because let's be real, Starbucks has built its entire brand on this idea of being more than just a coffee shop.
Absolutely.
It's that third place between home and work, a place for connection and community, a place where the human touch is paramount.
Precisely. And creating that kind of atmosphere requires a deep understanding of what motivates employees, particularly those on the front lines.
Baristas.
Okay, so we've got Niccol, a hygiene factor, hero, stepping into Starbucks, a company known for its emphasis on the human experience. Can he adapt his strategy? Can he brew up that same success in a very different kind of environment? I'm ready to find out. So we've got Niccol with his, almost obsession with hygiene factors.
Right.
Stepping into Starbucks, a world where that human touch is, well, it's practically written into their DNA.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder, can he adapt? Can he actually brew up that same success in what is a really different environment?
Yeah, and I think it's important to remember that hygiene factors and motivators aren't mutually exclusive. They
Yeah.
work together, right? So that focus on creating a stable and efficient and fair workplace that he did at Chipotle,
Yeah.
that provides a really strong foundation for employees to then say, okay, now how do I grow? How do I contribute on a deeper level?
It's true. If you're constantly worried about your schedule or feeling undervalued, you're probably not going to be thinking about how to, perfect your latte art or connect with customers on a personal level. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And I think that's where his experience at Chipotle could be really valuable at Starbucks because he gets it. He understands the importance of those basic things, creating that workplace where employees feel, respected and supported.
Yeah.
And then from there, you can introduce things that tap into those motivators, the stuff that sparks passion, that sense of belonging.
So it's not about a complete overhaul of his strategy, but more like adapting it.
Exactly.
Finding creative ways to kind of layer those motivators on top of that solid foundation he's known for.
And what's so fascinating is that Starbucks has always had those elements, those motivators already kind of in their culture a little bit.
Right.
I mean, remember they were the pioneers of offering benefits, healthcare coverage to part-time employees, which was unheard of in that industry.
Right.
So it suggests that they have this culture of caring for their employees at their core. So for him, it's less about bringing something totally new and more about amplifying what's already there.
Okay, so how do you do that? How do you take those existing motivators and dial them up to 11? What are some actual concrete steps he could take?
Well, I think one area is creating more opportunities for baristas to develop their skills and knowledge.
Okay.
I mean, Starbucks offers training, right? But imagine master classes in latte art, workshops on brewing methods,
Oh, wow.
even trips to coffee farms for the top performers.
I love that. It's like
Yeah.
sending your rock star employees on a backstage pass
Yeah.
to the world of coffee.
Exactly. And it plays into that exclusivity, that recognition. It's a motivator.
Totally, yeah.
And it doesn't have to be just for those at the top, right? What about mentorship programs where the more experienced baristas are guiding the newer hires?
Yeah.
Fosters a sense of community, shared learning,
We like it.
or even internal competitions where baristas can showcase their creativity.
Yeah.
Feature the winners in their stores.
It's about creating a culture where everyone feels like they can shine,
Yeah.
their own individual talents and passions are celebrated, not just recognized.
Exactly. And it's that kind of environment where people feel valued, challenged, inspired.
Yeah.
That's where the innovation happens. That's where you get customers who are truly delighted.
It sounds like Niccol has all the ingredients he needs to really brew up something special at Starbucks. He's got that operational expertise, the deep understanding of those foundational hygiene factors, and now this opportunity to layer on those motivators. It's going to be fascinating to see what he does.
Absolutely, it will be. And it kind of begs the question, if you were in Niccol's shoes, what's the first motivator you would actually implement at Starbucks? and why?
That is a fantastic question, and one that I am sure many of our listeners, those coffee aficionados out there, are going to be pondering over their next cup of joe. As for us, that's our deep dive on Brian Nichols and the big question, can he actually replicate his Chipotle success at Starbucks?